The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB-FM. Thank you for listening.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
March is Women's History Month, a time to celebrate women and all of our achievements. This year's theme is Visionary Women, Champions of Peace and Nonviolence. Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and today on Hampton Roads Voices, we're going to talk about women and money. Do you live within your means? How is money affecting your relationships? And do you engage in retail therapy? Today, we'll talk to financial experts who will tell us all the ins and outs of our money. And we definitely want to hear from you, too. Next, on Hampton Roads Voices, Women and Money on Hot 91.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and all this month we've been talking about issues that are important to women in honor of Women's History Month. Today we're going to talk about women and money, and I love this topic because it's so practical. It's where we live. It affects our lives. It affects our relationships. It affects our health, actually, and our sleep. And so I really wanted to talk about this topic before the Women's History Month ended. And so today we have two guests in studio. We have Tierney Parker, a financial educator, and the owner of Funding and Empire. Tierney, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And on the line, we have Tawana Golson. She is a speaker, author, and coach. Tawana, I appreciate you being here as well.
Thank you for having me as well.
Of course. So let's jump right into this. And let me, Tierney, start with you. Tell us what you do and explain that just a little for us.
Well, my name is Tierney Parker, and I am a financial educator. I'm an author, a speaker, and as far as being an author, I'm a 2-time Amazon best-selling author.
Excellent.
Wonderful, praise the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also a speaker and, like I stated before, a financial educator and a financial professional.
Oh, how wonderful. Mm-hmm. And what does it mean to be a financial educator? What does that mean?
Well, basically, I educate people on how to be financial literate, how to understand their finances, and how to overcome those obstacles and hindering them regarding their finances and what's actually hindering them, identifying that automatically up front.
Mm-hmm. And we really will get into that. The obstacles are very important.
Absolutely.
And Tawana, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Hi, I'm Tawana Golson. I'm a business owner of about 20 years now. I'm just coming on the scene as an author, so Tierney is one of my go-tos for that. And I'm also a speaker, and what I do in my day-to-day is I coach other businesses to success in their businesses as well.
Very
I have
nice.
also penned a book on money. It's called Girl, What You Gonna Do With Your Money.
Uh-oh.
And
Right.
and I just have an open and honest conversation with women about let's just get our monies right. Let's just tweak a few things, and I share a little bit of my story.
I absolutely love that. So, girl, what you're going to do with your money? Wow,
Yes,
that's a
ma'am.
question. That is a question. And I'll ask you in a few moments what women are doing with their money. But Tierney, I'm going to start with you and ask you about how does a person establish relationships with money? Before we can talk about you do this with your money and this with your money, we know we have a relationship with money, whether or not we know we have a relationship with money. Where does that come from?
Well, first of all, we must have a clear understanding that money is simply a tool that we control. A lot of us allow our money to dictate where it should go and what it should be spent on, which is wrong. We should be dictating that. You are the fund manager over all that comes into your hands. And understanding that, having a clear understanding of that is very, very important so that when you make financial decisions, you're not basing it off of emotions, but off of facts. And those facts are coming from a budget. So having a relationship with money is very, very important. And one of the things that I talk to people about is going back into your home, your childhood, your first interactions with money. What did you see in your home? How did your parents handle money? Did they handle money well? And if they did they teach you how to handle money well? If they didn't handle money well, what did you observe? Did you pick up some of those habits?
Wow.
And so understanding that maybe some of our habits are coming from what we observed directly and indirectly from our parents is a key fact in addressing those issues that you have not addressed, so that you're not having those same money habits that are hindering you from moving from financial level to financial level to financial level.
I love that you say it's a tool, and we definitely want to get you in on the conversation. 757-823-9110. 757-823-9110. And Tyranny has just mentioned that money is a tool, and you should dictate what happens to your money. So we want to hear from you. Do you live within your means? What is your relationship with money? And how did you learn your money habits? From whom did you learn your money habits? 757-823-9110. Tawana, in your experience and background, relationship with money, how do women specifically, if it's different from men, learn about money?
I think we learn pretty much the same. However, women, we're just a little bit more intuitive. At least I was as a child. I too discuss your relationship with money in my book. I go from the angle of what were you told, what have you seen, and what do you believe now, and how do you respond and react to how you handle your finances based on what you were seen and told. And what I often do with my clients, before we can even get into talking about business and handling a business budget, we get into, well, what are you doing with your budget now at home? And I'm going to tell you, Benita, some serious emotions come out of just that conversation, because a lot of people, they avoid it. And I'm sure Tyranny can attest to this. People avoid the conversation. People just spend without even thinking. And I challenge people to just think about what you're doing. Think about how you're spending, especially in relationship, because I'm dealing with people in business and who have business goals and they want to start a business. However, they don't know how to get started because we don't have any money. So I force them to and challenge them to think about, what are you doing now? What are you doing with what you have? Because as a business owner, you're thinking, you have to think about everybody, not just your own budget.
Oh, absolutely. Tyranny, why don't people want to talk about money? Why don't they?
Well, it's an
emotional conversation.
It's just
why?
I think it begins with, like I stated before, what we were taught or observed in our homes. So if money was not a comfortable conversation in our homes, like it wasn't in mine. I was raised by a single mother who did the very best she could. I mean, I'm just saying that she did. She taught us to get good grades in school, and so that we can go out and get a good job. That was it. So when it came to money, though, I observed that, later on I realized she didn't really have a savings. So the emergency fund that I'd often talk to my clients about and having, our emergency fund when I was at home living with my mother, was my Aunt Harriet and my grandmother.
Really?
When my mother needed money, that's who she called. So in my mind, I'm thinking, if I need anything, I'll just go to my family, not realizing that, no, I need to save. I need to save at least 10% of my income. That's what I need to do. So I think that because of the fact that we're not talking to our children, and it is a very sensitive topic, we don't want to tell our kids all of the mistakes that we've made, but we can tell them some of them so that they won't make those same mistakes. We can actually get them comfortable in talking about money and having those experiences with money with them. And so I think people who are not exposed to that, it hinders them. And so unfortunately, people who are exposed to that, they already have a leg up.
Yes.
Whether they want to take that leg up or not, they do have a leg up.
Right, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a break right now, and we want to hear from you. What is your relationship with money? Was it a secretive type thing in your family, or was it an open conversation? Our number is 757-823-9110. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and on Hampton Roads Voices, all month we've been talking about issues in honor of Women's History Month, issues that are affecting women, because it's very important to talk about that. Today we're talking about a topic that's important to us as well, women and money, and how it really does affect our relationships. We have Tyranny Parker, a financial educator and owner of Funding an Empire, here in studio. And on the line, we have Tawana Golson. She's a speaker, author, and coach. Now, Tawana and Tyranny, during the break, we were just talking about how people learn about money. And sometimes, especially in the African-American community, it's a secret. Now, Tawana, tell us the story you were talking about with your grandmother and your grandfather.
Sure. I was talking about growing up as a young child. I, too, had very little information on how to handle my finances. But my grandmother, she used to manage the money in the household, so she would write down all of the bills and keep them in a spiral notebook, to be exact, on the kitchen table, because her and my papa, they would work different shifts, so sometimes they would miss each other. So in order for papa to know what was needed to be paid, grandma would write those items out in a notebook on the table, and papa would leave the money on the table. So me being the nosy little girl I wanted to know what was in that notebook. So I looked in the notebook, and that's how I loosely got to know that we have to at least know what we owe.
Right.
So, and I encourage my clients to at least know what you owe, what's coming in and what's going out.
And sometimes, why don't they know what they owe? Is it that they want to be ignorant about that, or going back to what we said, we just haven't been taught how to deal with money? Why is it some people they don't seem to know that information?
Easier not to deal with it. It's, Benita, it's very much easier not to deal with it. It's easier not to face that I really owe what I owe.
Right.
I find that I have the hardest time. People will sometimes, I would have them to write, okay, let's write down everything you owe, and they will water it down.
Wow.
And when I look at it and I say, why are you paying for that? Well, I don't know. Well, why don't you know? It just automatically comes out. Why does it automatically come out? Oh, I don't know. It's not but $2 or $3, but that's $2 or $3 that you could be saving.
Right.
So, so a lot of people don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Tyranny, you were saying sometimes even in the African-American community, there is a difference in how we see money.
Absolutely. And it's very unfortunate, but I would, speak to individuals, and they would tell me that, yes, they did have parents that were quite successful financially, who acquired properties and amassed other assets and lived very well. And then I would ask them the question, what did they teach you? Mm-hmm. And they would say, well, no. So they didn't teach you how they became successful. They didn't teach you how to save, how to invest. They didn't teach you about life insurance. And more times than often, it will be no. So in understanding that, I realized there is a wealth gap. It's so interesting because the wealth gap that we're experiencing, it is because of various reasons. But I think one of the reasons is we don't communicate with our children at home on how to save, how to invest, on the importance of having life insurance. We don't talk to our children. Yes, there are other reasons, very significant reasons why there is a wealth gap. But I think beginning at home, if we start in our homes talking to our children, that will somewhat alleviate that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It may not be drastic like we want it to be, but it can give our children the head start that they need.
Right.
What age should we start talking about money with our children?
Oh my gosh. Look, 2.
Mm-hmm. As soon as
3.
they can understand making a purchase, because our kids are very, very intelligent. They know that you go into a store, even I would say even younger than that. I have a grandson who's not even 2 yet, but he knows if you get something and put it on the counter, it's something that he can take home. So that the money principles, I believe, are being taught all the time, even before they can speak.
Oh, absolutely. Because they do observe what we do.
They observe.
I was at the library with my 3-year-old, and they had a little cash register and a scanner attached to it, and you push the button and you open it up and there was money inside of it. And so the little kids were coming up and saying, "I'd like to buy this, please." And they knew to hand you money, or then they had a little part where you swipe the credit card. So they do understand that. I completely agree with that. So we want to hear from you at 757-823-9110. Have you taught your children principles of money? How were you taught those same principles? 757-823-9110. So when you talk about a budget, let's talk budgeting for just a moment, because this sort of, again, begins to lay the foundation of what we're talking about. What is, Tawana, I'm going to start with you. What is some of the major challenges for a person when they're creating a budget? If they say, you have to know what you owe. So much of that is in creating a budget. So what are some of the challenges of creating a budget?
One of the top challenges that I find is they have to commit to it. Once I know what I owe, now I can't keep hiding and acting like I don't know and just spending the way I want to spend. Now I have to commit to actually taking care of those things so that I can meet a goal. And most of the people that I'm talking with, they want the goal of business ownership or home ownership. So now I have to do something here. I can't just say, "Oh, my credit's not good," or "Oh, I'll wait," or "I'll save." I have to actually do it. So that's the challenge I'm finding with many people.
Tierney, the same for you? People have to stick with it, and that's where the difficulties come in?
Absolutely. Budgeting is not a dirty word. It is not. And I often have to tell people that. And so in budgeting will give you a clear, realistic view of where you currently are. And a lot of people don't want to face that.
They don't want to know. Because
when you start writing down what you have coming in and what you have going out, you get a clear picture of the fact that you're overspending. And so a lot of people don't want to curtail their spending habits. And unfortunately, that is one of the biggest hindrance to wealth, when we don't curtail our spending habits.
Right.
We want to buy now and pay later.
There you go.
We want to buy now and pay later.
Wonderfully said, Tawana.
Oh, definitely. And it is so prevalent in our society, in our community. You'll go into a store and they say, "Okay, if you open up this credit card right now, that 75% off outfit, you could get 10% more off of it." And then you think by the time you pay for it and then pay the fee, and then you get a late fee because maybe you've forgotten, that 75% is gone.
Yeah,
a little bit. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes we don't want to deny ourselves from wants and needs. Tierney, how do you tell people how to distinguish between wants and needs?
Well, basically, I tell them that when they're wanting to do a purchase, when they're out there shopping, you have to ask yourself, is this something that I truly need, or is this something that I want? So a lot of people don't distinguish between a need and want. For instance, to me, cable is not a need. It's a want.
Right.
But to other people, it's a need.
It's a need.
So you have to come to Jesus moment and say, come to Jesus moment and say, okay, is this something in which that it will help me to improve my overall financial wherewithal? Is this something that I really will help me to live comfortably, and that not comfortably so that I'm just spinning away, but comfortably in that it's something that like a roof over my head, or I need a car. I may not need the most expensive car, but I need a car that runs well. And that, maybe later on I can get what I really want, but right now I need to get what I need.
Oh, absolutely.
So identifying where you're at right now and the budget that you have. Do I really need something like this at this point? I mean, will this enrich my life in a way that it will build me? Or is this something that, like a pair of shoes? is a want. It's not a need.
Right.
But it is a need where you do need shoes, but you don't need 10 pairs. Let me clarify that.
Okay.
So you need
Or
shoes.
red bottoms.
But Tawana went to the red bottoms. Oh
You
my
don't need
goodness.
red bottoms.
Okay.
Let's go there.
She went to the red bottoms. Okay.
I'm judging now. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. It's all right. So, but we do need a pair of shoes.
We do need our shoes.
But we don't need red bottoms. Okay. Thank you, Tawana.
I said it. You were thinking it.
I was. She knows me well.
But I think it is important to talk about the level at which we can live. You know, living, we know the expression living beyond our means. And it's just like you said, you need shoes, but maybe you don't need as many pair of shoes, or you need shoes, but maybe you don't need that price of shoes, and you need a car, but perhaps you can't get the top of the line car. And so I think so much of that is living beyond our means. Tawana, is that what you advise your clients, to stay within their means?
Exactly. And that's one of the things, excuse me, one of the things too that brings the emotion, Benita, is when you're talking about streamlining some of those things. One of the things that I find, and I don't know about you, Tierney, when we're sitting down with clients and talking about budgets, that cell phone seems to be a sore spot with many folks.
Interesting.
The cell phone. I'm like, do you really need an iPhone 7? Can you get just a regular smartphone and pay the pay-as-you-go plan for $45 a month versus an iPhone 7 for $100 a month? I get a lot of resistance right there. And it's amazing to me because especially to a gadget or a techie person, they feel like they have to have the next best thing.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Absolutely, yes.
So to try to convince them that you don't need the iPhone 7, maybe you just need a phone, because our world has gone to now where we don't really have a lot of landlines anymore. Okay, you need a phone for safety, but you don't need this particular phone and this particular phone plan. I tell them I can help you save $50 off the bat if you just change your phone plan. And we haven't even gotten to your spending.
Good.
And that is the emotional part, because sometimes when we work, we feel we deserve something.
Yes.
Oh, come on, let me have my phone, or let me have this particular thing. I work 6 days a week. But, and that's where the emotional part comes in.
That's where it comes
when
in
we
at.
say, oh my gosh, so you asked me to take this and this and this away. And there is a difference between how we begin to see things as wants versus needs. We start to switch that around sometimes. And it's tough to come back to the other side and say, no, this is really a want. It's not a need, because now we believe it is a need.
Yeah, I don't think we should go to the extreme where we're constantly denying ourselves, because then that will get into a whole nother area that's not good. I do believe that you should set yourself up for rewards and, going on vacations and such, because we do need those things.
We do.
But I think we get into trouble when we're constantly going on 4 and 5 vacations and we really can't afford it. Now, it's one thing when you can afford it.
Right.
It's another thing when you can't. Or we're, spending money on clothes when we have more than enough clothes. I think that's where we get into the area that is not good.
Absolutely.
We're living way above our means.
Above our means. Let me give you that number, 757-823-9110. We're talking about women and money, and we're here with Tierney Parker, and we're also here with Tawana Golson. 757-823-9110 on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
If you're just joining us, I'm Benita Adams, and we're talking about women and money today. Let's go straight to the lines, because we have, no one's on the line. Okay. If you want to give us a call us at 757-823-9110. 757-823-9110. Tawana, you were saying something interesting during the break. You were saying that women, your expression was nickel and dime shop. And sometimes you tell them to shop in their closets. Tell us a little bit about that, because, again, we're talking about some very practical things. If you say, okay, I would love to go on that vacation, I would like to do that, but I don't have enough money. And with financial educators such as yourselves, you teach us and show us where that money is. And sometimes we don't realize we're spending so much of it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. That's a very practical tool that I challenge my clients and my friends and myself that when we have somewhere to go, or especially when it comes to events, if you guys are like me, every time I go to an event, I think I need to have something new.
Yes.
So I have to retrain myself to go back to my own closet, because there's always something there that I forgot that I purchased on the big sale. And I can start there first. So I always challenge my clients and my friends and myself, because I have to practice what I preach, and myself, to look to see what I have first before I venture out to the stores to shop.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes we just assume we have to have a different outfit every time we go. I know, what is it, Tiffany Haddish, the comedian Tiffany Haddish was in Girls Trip, and she wore the same dress to 3 major events. She said, I want to get my money's worth out of this dress. These are national events out there. So she's like, I want to go out there and prove myself to you by getting a new dress and spending up my little money.
That's
so
right.
I agree with that. So let's go ahead and go to the phones. They called at 757-823-9110. Hello, caller, you're on the line. You're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
My name is Andrea. I'm calling from Norfolk, Virginia.
Andrea, what's your question or comment, please?
I just have a comment. First, I want to say I love your shows, and
thank you.
My comment is basically, I grew up in Memphis, and my grandfather was the main sole provider of the house. And so my grandmother used to just have her check and spend her check and do whatever she wanted to do. So that's what I saw growing up. And as I got older, I thought, okay, that's how it's supposed to be. The man is going to take care of the household, and the woman just gets to spend all of her own money. I was sadly mistaken. That's not the way it works. Since then, I've grown to just know to take care of my own finances. But being that, you talked about women not knowing about life insurance, or just our community altogether. My grandfather passed away, and she didn't know what to do next. So it's very important to have those conversations with the children. I didn't know anything about life insurance until I started working for a company that sells life insurance. And, it's sad. I didn't learn about life insurance until I was 30 years old.
Wow. Yes. And that really is the story of many women, because there's so many things that they don't know. And then a circumstance, a situation comes along, and they realize, I don't know about this. I didn't know that. I didn't know where the money was, the accounts, the passwords, even to the accounts. And so that's so important. Andrea, thank you so much for giving us a call.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Tierney, what about that? You've heard those stories before.
Absolutely. And so it's very interesting that she said that her grandmother just spent her check. Because I was thinking about me. A very young me who didn't understand money at all at that time. And so, I married a very handsome man who was very smart when it came to money. So he was a saver, and he married a spender.
Oh, let's talk about that.
And so we had a lot of arguments, because same thing like she said, what I saw in the home, I really didn't understand anything about having financial goals. I didn't understand about having a financial plan and planning, 1, 2, 3 years out, where do I want to be financially?
Right.
I didn't understand any of that. And my husband did. I didn't realize, and he was one of the main people who taught me, that living paycheck to paycheck is really a form of poverty. Because if you, lose your job, if something, God forbid, happens to your health, and you don't have any savings, then you're in a really tough crisis.
That's right.
I didn't even think about it like that. I thought living paycheck to paycheck was the norm. I really did, because that's what I observed. And so marrying someone that kind of understood more than I did about finances, and he was very adamant about, increasing in our finances and increasing our net worth. And he kept talking to me. That was one of the things that I loved. He kept talking to me over and over again. This is what we need to do. And finally, thank God, I listened.
Wow. And that is so important. And we'll get back to that. the relationship, because we're talking about money, women, and relationships. And you cannot really talk so much about money if you don't talk about how it affects your relationships, especially, as you said, a spender and a saver. So let's go to the phones. We have a caller on the line. Caller, what is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Todd, Virginia.
Okay, Todd, what is your question and comment?
Sister that is 40 years old, and I'm trying to now. Our parents are doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good for myself, but we're trying to figure out a way to get him from feeling like he's unable.
I think we lost that call. Todd, are you there? Okay, Todd, if you're hearing me, if you can just give us a call back, okay? Because the call was dropped, 823-9110. So call us right back, Todd. Okay, so let's go back. He was talking about his sister who was 40 years old, but we'll wait for him to give us a call back just to see. He was getting ready to talk about someone being an enabler. So we'll look at that. But being in a relationship, Tawana, being in a relationship with someone, one is a spender, one is a saver. What do you suggest for something like that? What do you tell that person, those people?
Those people got to come together. They've got to have a conversation, or they're never going to get anywhere in their relationship. They have to have common goals. If it's difficult for them, I would suggest, and I'm by no means to tell any married couple how to deal with how they pull their money together, but to get the bills paid, there may need to be one account where we just put the money in for the bills, and we allot ourselves for our spending. My husband and I were similar to that, where he would spend first, and he had the mindset of, well, we don't have enough to pay the bills, so I may as well go ahead and enjoy myself because, like you said earlier, Benita, I worked hard, I deserve it. Right. So he had that mindset, and I had the mindset of, I come from a single parent home. I know what it feels like to not have anything, and I'm never going to be without toilet paper. So I'm going to spend every dime I have on the bills, and then I'm with nothing. So we had to bring that to a balance, and that's how we did it. So we came together with one account where we committed to putting the money in for the expenses, and we gave ourselves a little play money because, like Tyranny said, you can't deny yourself everything, or that's another step to failure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Todd is back with us on the line. Todd, are you there? Hello? Are you there? Okay, I think that line was... Okay. Well, if again, our number is 823-9110 in case you're calling us back. Okay. 823-9110. We're talking about women, money, and relationships. And it really does come from what we've seen, not only what we're taught, but what we see. I would see my parents all the time paying the bills together. They would take a piece of cardboard, just a piece of a box and a cardboard, and they would cut it, and they would just put push pins with all the bills around the cardboard. That's awesome. And then they would sit down with the checkbook and they would say, okay, this is the light bill. We're going to pay this much on the bill, and we're going to pay this much on the bill, and this one. And I know that for many, many, many years, everyone can't do it this way, but my parents always lived below their means. And so they never even had a credit card because they said, if we cannot afford it, we will not get it. And they had excellent credit because they just did not. And I saw that all the time. I saw the collaboration in paying the bills. I heard the conversation around paying the bills, and I saw that it wasn't that every child in the house got a car. Like, we had one car and everybody got dropped off, and that's just the way it was. And so I appreciate how hard my parents worked. Just to make that work. So absolutely. So give us a call. What is your relationship with money, and how did you see that work in the family? 823-9110. Again, we're just speaking with Tyranny Parker. She's a financial educator and owner of Funding an Empire. And Tawana on the line, Tawana Golson. She's a speaker, an author, and a coach. So let's talk a little bit about We've talked about paying the bills, but I want to talk a little bit, again, because I want to deal with the practicalities of things. How important is it to pay your bills on time?
Very important. It's critical, especially when it comes to building credit. And, in order for us to buy that house, not just buy our own home, but also buy additional properties, to be able to get a good paying job nowadays, they check your credit.
Wow.
So you need to pay your bills on time, because that is 30 or 35% of your credit score is allocated to paying your bills on time.
Wow.
So that we need to understand that, even though I know sometimes, I think Tawana hit on it earlier, where we just want to hide, from, oh my gosh, these bills are coming in. I really don't want to look at them. I don't want to face it. So let me just, pretend like they're not there and just keep moving. You cannot do that if you want to be financially successful. Every time a financial problem occurs, address it. Make that your stance. Make that a financial goal for the year. Wow. That if you're having that problem, my financial goal for the year is that every time a financial issue comes up, I'm going to address it immediately.
Oh, that's
good.
And
watch how that habit builds and how that would change not only your mindset, but your financial wherewithal.
Oh, I love it. Your mindset changes. And Tawana, sometimes even going with Tierney, connecting those dots a little bit with what Tierney is saying. Sometimes when creditors call, we don't call them back, and we say, well, I'm just going to not answer the phone, or I'm not going to respond. How challenging or difficult, or maybe I should even say detrimental, is that to your overall trying to create wealth when you don't even try to make arrangements with your creditors?
Well, if you don't try to even make arrangements with your creditor is still making arrangements with your credit report. They're going to continue.
Wow.
Somebody's going to say something. They're going to continue to report, regardless if you close your eyes and act like it's not there or not. And so it behooves you to contact them back and make some sort of arrangement. I hear my clients say all the time, well, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. Well, that's where you're going to have to sit down and decide what additional income you can bring into your life.
Okay.
Because some of us, we have to go get second jobs.
Yes.
We have to have side hustles, start a business, start a partnership, something. You have to think of something to bring more income in. I know everybody can't go out and get a brand new primary job. That's not that easy. However, what about bringing some extra income in on the side? And a lot of people just don't want to commit to that.
And I think that's critical to address that, because sometimes we say, no, well, I already have a 9 to 5, but sometimes it takes the 9 to 5 plus to really make it happen. And it may be for just a season, but nonetheless, you need to go ahead and take that. Tierney, I'm seeing you shaking your head.
Well, because Benita, a lot of our salaries are not keeping up with inflation.
Oh, definitely.
No.
So this is the big thing with me and talking to different people. I always tell them, you must create multiple streams of income. There's no way around it. In this day and age, there's no way around it. If you want to meet your financial goals, if you want to live your best life,
right,
then you're going to have multiple things coming in, because God forbid if something was to happen to that 9 to 5, you can still continue on because you have other sources to pull from. And it's just like Tawana was saying, a lot of people don't want to make that sacrifice.
Right.
They don't want to get a second job. And I do understand, because I do hear from a lot of single moms that tell me, well, Tierney, I can't. I have a child, or I have children, and I can't get another job because, I don't have any support. So I can't do that. And so I say, okay, if you can get another job, what interests do you have? What hobbies do you have that you can actually evolve that into some type of side business, or what we call a side hustle?
Right.
I know a lot of moms that have side hustles and they're making it work. So it's not that we don't want to take that extra step with a lot of people, because there are single moms who do want to do that, and even those who are married. But it's being not only consistent but disciplined. Yeah. And having that tenacity to go out and say, I'm going to do whatever I need to do that is legal, of course. Let me stress that. That is legal. I'm going to do what I need to do to bring more income into my home, because there's inflation.
There's inflation.
Exactly. And, I want to live a certain way. And I know that my 9 to 5 is not going to get me there.
And that is interesting because at one point the 9 to 5 might have gotten us there. I was telling my daughter the other day, that joke, you must be Jamaican because you have 5 jobs. And my parents had to be Jamaican for real. They just didn't go on genealogy.com or something. But I told my daughter just the other day that my parents put all 4 of us, there are 4 girls in my family, all 4 of us through college on potato salad and fried chicken.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is bake sales and weddings and chicken dinners and chocolate chip cookies and everything they needed to do. Every Sunday we had a bake sale at the church. We would go from door to door selling, those little styrofoam plates and so forth. But why? They did it because they had a financial goal, and they had a financial goal for their daughters. And so, yes, they did their 9 to 5s, but they did it on fried chicken and potato salad. And I can appreciate exactly what you're saying by that. And so what did you see in your household? 757-823-9110 is our number to call in. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams. And today, in honor of Women's History Month, we're talking about women, money, and relationships. We have 2 money experts, one in our studio, Tierney Parker, financial educator and owner of Funding and Empire, and Tawana Golson on the phone. She's a speaker, author, and coach. And we would like to hear from you, 757-823-9110. We have a couple of callers on the line. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm calling from the city of Hampton.
Okay. Brandon, what is your question or comment?
First, I just want to thank y'all for doing this. This is something that our community always needs.
Thank you.
But I wanted to make a comment about the statement that you had earlier about the husbands and wives.
Yes.
I've gone to school for finance. I have my degree in finance. I'm in the financial field, have been in the finance field for like 20 years. However, my wife at home does all the finances. We saw that she was better at it. I was a little slower paying bills, but she made sure all the bills were paid on time, and it just works for us. So as a man, I had to put my pride aside, put my education aside, and understand what was best for our household.
That's good.
That is very good. And I love that you say that, because all couples would not be able to work it that way, especially with your background. And so I so appreciate, Brandon, that you're saying that. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you for what you do also.
Thank you. And let's go to the phones, and then I'll throw it to our guest. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
I'm Ari from Norfolk.
Okay. And what is your name again?
Ari.
Ari, what is your question or comment?
Well, my comment is pertaining to the building the financial stability.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's just listening to the radio station just now. They were talking about how their parents must have been Jamaicans because they've had all these jobs.
Right.
And I remember when I was growing up, I'm 27 now, maybe 15, 16, 17 years ago, my parents had full-time jobs, and they also took up secondary jobs, and they took up these jobs as janitors. They would go, or custodians, they would go and clean buildings at night.
Absolutely.
And that was their side hustle.
Yes.
And I didn't think about it at the time, but they would bring me with them, and they always told me they brought me with them so that I wouldn't end up in a situation like that.
Wow.
And now as an adult, I'm on my own, not all the way on my own, but I am in a situation, like, I have to pay my own bills. I have a child. I'm a single parent, and I understand everything now. And it's just so mind-blowing that from 15, 16 years ago now that I also will probably have to get a second job, get a side hustle to be financially stable because I want to get me and my son a house. I want to be stable. I want to have a great credit score.
Oh, absolutely. Ari, thank you so much for calling and sharing that with us.
That's a problem.
Okay. Tawana, so Brandon said that his background is finance, and yet his wife pays the bills, and that works very well for them. And Ari was saying about getting financially stable. Speak to those two.
Well, the first thing, the relationship part, I agree with Mr. Brandon because the strongest person in the household should probably take the lead. However, I hope they're having a conversation about it. I hope they're sitting down like your people did and discussing what's coming in and what's going out. One of the things that my husband and I failed at in our earlier years of marriage, we've been married 27 years now, but in our earlier years of marriage, my husband did what my grandfather did, just put the money on the table basically and said, you deal with it. So he had a false sense of what was really coming in and what was really going out because I would make $1 out of 15 cents.
Wow.
And I wouldn't share it with him. So when I really sat him down and said, oh no, soldier, this is what you're really bringing in. This is what we really pay. He's like, oh my God, how were you able to do that? Because I was robbing Peter to pay Paul because there was no conversation. So I would say, even in Brandon's situation, I hope he's having a conversation with his wife.
That's very important. And then Ari, as she said, when she was 15, 16 years ago, and she didn't realize how, when her parents had to do the side hustle of cleaning buildings and so forth, how that, she caught how important that was. And now she's in the situation that she might have to do that herself. And Tyranny, that's what you were talking about. Yeah. You were talking about sometimes we just have to have the side hustle.
Gotta do it.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that they brought her with them.
Yes.
And they gave her that exposure that, yes, we do have jobs, but we're doing this also on the side because we want financial increase.
Yes.
So instead of just hoping and praying for financial increase, they were going out and doing what they needed to do to bring that reality into their home. And then they were exposing her, which is phenomenal because that's what we need to do with our kids. And some, I do see family members and individuals and people doing that. I do see them exposing their children. I think that we need to just expose them even more. So even though she saw that, I think I would have loved a conversation. This is why we're doing this.
Oh, very good.
And, I want you to understand the importance of not just making the money, but multiplying it. I want you to understand the importance of, understanding that you do what you need to do.
Do what you need to do
to improve your financial situation, having those conversations.
And sharing those financial goals.
Yes.
As I said, why that was so important in my family is because they told us why they had bake sales every week and sold chicken dinners. It was to get you girls through school.
I love it.
And we understood that, and it made us appreciate it. Now, Tawana, I know that you have to go. Let's take one more call, and then we'll get your contact information. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Veronica. I'm calling from Newport News.
Veronica, what is your question or comment for our guest?
I'm actually calling to comment. I love the topic and the conversation that you ladies are having today. And I just wanted to call in and comment about my experience as a child. My mother raised myself and my sister as a single parent, and she always instilled in us about hard work, our education, and supporting ourselves. So she worked 2 jobs to take care of us. She always stressed to us to take care of your priorities. And I am a mother myself now, and I stress the same thing to my children. So we may not be able to go out and go shopping every week or go buy new sneakers every month or every time some new shoes come out, but we've always had somewhere to live. We always have electricity, power, water. Our fridge is always full of food. We are never without food, never without somewhere to live. We've always had our car, gas in our car, and my sister and I have been blessed by the example our mother set for us. I bought my first house at the age of 21.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome, Veronica.
My sister bought her first house at the age of 19.
Oh,
Wow.
goodness.
Okay. Well, all right now.
Wow.
Right. I mean, just my mother didn't purchase her first house until she was 41, and that was like one of her big goals that she had for herself. And she was like, she expressed to us how disappointed she was because of her finances and being able to take care of everything and wanting to purchase her own home. So seeing my mother and seeing how she took care of us and made sure that she had her priorities together and always did the best to take care of us, I know for sure that propelled myself and my sister to have our finances in order and have that mindset. So I think it's really important to have these conversations with children when they're younger, and I have the same conversations with my children now. I have a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old, and they have savings accounts. They have their own little piggy banks, but they don't want to spend their money. They're all about saving their money and figuring out other ways to earn money to get the things that they want. So if they want a new pair of shoes or they want a new doll, it's like, okay, well, how many chores do I have to do to earn enough money so that I can buy this, because I don't want to take the money out of my piggy bank.
That's good.
They want to save it. Veronica, thank you so much. We appreciate that.
That's good.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We have one other caller on the line. Caller, what is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Todd from Virginia.
Okay. Oh, Todd, thank you for calling back, Todd. Oh, okay. Todd, what were you saying? Go ahead and continue with your story.
Well, basically, I'm saying I have a sister that's 40 years old. She had some financial setbacks when she was, a little bit younger and first entering into the workforce. Me, myself, I'm doing good financially. My parents are doing financially, and we've given her thousands of dollars pretty much each year. But it feels like it's just money going in and out their pocket. And I was trying to see what steps do you have to keep them or get them to be financially independent.
What a good question. Todd, thank you. And again, thank you for calling back.
Mm-hmm.
Tawana, would you make a comment on that? Again, I know you're going to have to leave us in just a couple of moments. Todd said his sister is 40. Everyone else in the family seems to be financially set, and the money that has been given to her just doesn't seem as if it's a worthwhile investment. What would you say to Todd?
And Tyranny, you can amen me this. We're going back to that mindset change. Sister knows that she has that backup and that cushion.
Yes, right.
So sister has not faced the fact that what she has coming in is not covering what needs to go out because the family's fixing it for her. So they're helping her financial ignorance, actually. So what they need to do, and I've had to do this with several family members, and it's a hard thing to do. It really is, because you want everybody in your life to win. And especially if you know you have it, you have to I even have to fight my mindset of, just because I have it don't mean I need to give it to this person for this reason.
Exactly.
So just because you have it doesn't mean you have to give it. So what I've had to do with family members like that is just kind of let's sit down, let's talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. No, I just want you to give me the money. Then I'm sorry, I can't do it. And then allow them to face what their real reality is.
Because we are rescuers, especially women. And when we love someone, we care about them. We don't want to see them fail. And so
Absolutely
we keep
not.
rescuing them. We keep saying, okay. But as Todd said, after a while, they're realizing that the money's just being wasted. They keep throwing with the expression good money after bad or something, that expression. And so that is true. It's the tough love sometimes. It's the hard conversation. So that's important. Tawana, I know you have to leave us. Any last thoughts on women and money and relationships, and then how can they find you?
Okay, one of the last thoughts that I wanted to drive home, and I talk about it in my book, Girl, What You Gonna Do With Your Money, is we have to educate ourselves, ladies. I know it's intimidating to know new financial terms, but trust me, just practice one every day. Get a definition of one every day. Start with something as simple as, what credit is, what debt is, whatever. Next thing you know, your vocabulary, just like any other vocabulary, will increase, and these financial conversations won't be as frightening. So I encourage people to educate themselves. That's one of the reasons that we are behind as a people, as African Americans. The wealth curve is because we haven't properly educated ourselves on finances. And Lord knows we didn't get it, at least in my generation, we didn't get it in school. So it's a responsibility that we have to take for ourselves.
Absolutely. So how can they find you if they want to get more information about you, especially your book?
Okay, they can find me on my website, www.tawanagolson.com. If they want to see me, they can come to my Women's Business Symposium, which is going to be May 4th. I'll be talking about money matters with my good friend, Dr. Lynn Richardson, as seen on TV, and my good friend, the legendary MC Light. We're going to be talking about money matters, your man and your money, and
Wow.
yes, dealing with business and finance. So they want to see me. Please come and join me for that. But TawanaGolson.com will lead you to my book and to the symposium and everything that you will need to know.
Absolutely.
Facebook, Instagram, all of that.
All of that. This has been Tawana Golson. She's a speaker, author, and coach, and author of the book, Girl, What You Gonna Do
with Your Money.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much for being with us, Tawana.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye. We have one other caller on the line. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Peace and blessings, DJ Rain.
Okay.
Calling from the Bronx.
Okay. What is your question or comment? Thank you for calling us.
Just a comment. Just pretty much, as far as the money and relationships, I think pretty much a lot of people will have to unlearn and relearn a lot of habits. Mm-hmm. And then as far as a lot of financial discipline and things of that nature. Now, it's crazy because a lot of people come from different backgrounds and different situations. So right. A lot of times that's what I'm saying about the unlearning and relearning situation comes in. Most haven't been taught financial stability, wealth, longevity, things of that nature. So you can't expect someone that's, blind to something or, hasn't had any training in it to really understand and understand how money works. How can I make money work for me? How can I make it work for my generational and longevity wealth?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, and then on top of that, I just want to add a little bit, and I didn't mean to talk y'all to death.
No, go ahead.
Then the fact that the origin of, it's hard for me to do that. Okay, now I'm in the other currency, so being that if we understand and understand that money, when it's not attached to gold or silver, is meaningless, mm-hmm. that kind of makes things an illusion. But being that we're in an illusion now, we have to play within the illusion. Mm-hmm. So being that we're playing within the illusion, we have to figure out how to win the illusion. So how did people in power get in power? Mm-hmm. They in other cultures, how did they break away? How did they branch away? Mm-hmm. They started with sometimes it's just a small group, and then we have the group fund. I was thinking along the lines of combining households as well, being that it is an overwhelming amount of single moms, an overwhelming amount of broken homes, an overwhelming amount as far as the divorce rate and things of that nature. And most of that is because of finance.
Oh, very much because of finances. Oh, absolutely. And some of the research shows, and Tierney, you can probably heard this as well, that people are joining households, elderly women whose husbands have passed and so forth in their golden years. They're living together. Absolutely. Because it really helps with the finances.
No. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Goddess. But I mean, as far as, I know this is a little unorthodox, but in other cultures, they have this thing called sister wife. Mm-hmm. That's a divine sisterhood. And I know it's a little bit out of the norm, but if it's used in a way of nation building, tribe building, empire building, dynasty building, again, we have a large deficit of is more women to men. Mm-hmm. There's a more women to men ratio. So how do we close that gap? Now, then you have these small portion of men. Now, women are looking for what? Kings, right? You're looking for kings, the one that has ascended past certain levels of, maturity and superficialness and materialism and things of that nature. He's extracted himself from that. Now we all know that's a small batch, right? So now you have these broad spectrum of women, right? That's looking for this small batch of men. So now what do we have in here? We still have a numbers problem. Mm-hmm. We still have a numbers problem. So now, if a goddess, like you said, if a goddess is, well versed in finance, and now she's with a person that may not be all the way a king yet, and he's not well versed in finance, like you say, most people, are they going to be humble enough to learn?
Oh,
Are
absolutely.
you going to be humble enough to learn and decipher the information? When it comes to money, it's almost like a spell has been put over it to make us more competitive.
That is
right?
so interesting. Now, I'm going to have to stop you right here, but we so appreciate you giving us a call. Thank you so much.
One love.
Tyranny, thank you. Tyranny, interesting thoughts on that. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Our number is 823-9110. Go ahead and give us a call. We're talking about money, women, and relationships on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are talking about women and money and relationships. We have Tyranny Parker, financial educator, with us and author of Funding and owner of Funding and Empire. So, Tyranny, we've spent quite a bit of time on laying the foundations of money and mindset and things like that. And again, we definitely want our callers to call in 757-823-9110, 757-823-9110. What is your thought in terms of money and how it affects relationships? How have you learned to be financially savvy? And do you save? Are you a saver? Are you a spender? Give us a call, 757-823-9110. So let's talk a little bit. You were telling me when we were talking a little bit earlier about women are not saving for retirement as much as men. Why is that the case?
Well, due to various circumstances, such as divorce, women moving in and out of the workforce to take care of children or elderly parents, some of those women unfortunately becoming widows, coupled with the fact that women in general, some of them are earning less than men, and which leads to lower Social Security benefits and retirement accumulation.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
That really is a lot.
Yes.
Okay, and sometimes even, I think that one of the important things is we hear, of course, a lot of single mothers, and it is challenging, or that woman, as you said, that was in the workforce, but maybe she decided to leave the workforce and come home or go home and take care of her children.
Right.
And so that leaves gaps in the employment process, which will also, it seems to me, in my understanding of it, it can possibly cause her to make less money because there's inconsistency there.
Yes, and it will hinder her from accumulating her retirement as she should, because she's going in and out of the workforce. And so there are these reasons have been something that a lot of us in the financial arena have discussed and talked about, because we need to do something about this, and educating women and letting them know that even though you may not have accumulated as much as men or your counterparts, you can still start today doing some things and putting some things in place. And so education is the key, but also implementation as well.
Right.
So in saying that, accumulation of retirement and other vehicles is very, very important.
Okay. Let's go to the phones. We have a caller on the line. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please? And where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Walt from Norfolk, by way of New York.
Okay. Walt, you said?
Yeah, so I was just calling to find out if she's had any experience like divorcees that are paying out a lot of money, child support and alimony. Like right now, I'm paying out about $3,200 a month, and I can't save anything.
Okay.
So
you're asking our guest, if you're paying out such a large amount, what are some practical things that perhaps you can do to even save any money?
Right, because like I have about $1,600 for myself, about $1,700. So.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, yeah, for the next 2 years, I have to pay alimony, and.
Yes, and I do understand, and I'm very, I shouldn't say, I don't know what to say, proud of you for actually, I guess I should say I'm proud of you for actually, making those steps to do what you need to do. But also, one of the things that people always ask me, when they have a large amount of money going out, what can they do? And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. if you don't have enough money to accumulate, or you don't have enough money to save or invest, then the practical thing is to make sure that you open up another avenue, have another source, which means that you may have to, get another job, work overtime, do whatever, that side hustle. So it's not, a lot of people think that it's a silver bullet, or, it's just something that instantly can just happen. But it's practical things like, okay, I don't have enough coming in. What do I need? Do I need to remove debt? What do I need to do? Do I need to get another job? What do I need to do? Because those are some of the only two things that you can do to increase or have more money coming into your hand. Reduce that debt, any debt that you may have, or if your debt has already been removed or lowered.
Well, no, I have all the debt, so. From the marriage, so.
Yeah, and so having a strategy put in place to reduce your debt. And so there's a lot of debt reduction strategies out there, a lot of them. And I actually did one of them, and which is called, I know a lot of people heard of Dave Ramsey and his snowball method. So I used that to remove the debt that I had accumulated. And it actually took me 3 years. 3 years to knock out all the debt that I had. I didn't remove my mortgage, but all the credit cards and, store cards and all that craziness was removed. And it took 3 years, and it took a lot of sweat and tears. I cried because I wanted to do things and I couldn't do things because I had made a commitment to my husband that I was going to do this. And so looking at that, having that hard situation and facing it and saying, okay, what can I do? Do I need to do a debt reduction program? Do I need to go get another job? What can I do to bring more money in so that I can increase and not just give my money to other things?
Well, those are good suggestions. We appreciate you calling. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Wow, and that's a hard one because, again,
very much so.
You really, and I like that.
But I'm glad that he's trying to do something. That's
absolutely.
I was sitting there thinking, shall I say I'm proud of him? I don't.
So let's talk a bit about, you were talking about reducing debt. Obviously, you have to reduce debt, or you have to increase your income, the side hustle we've been talking about several times. What are some practical things to reduce debt? Some very ABC 1, 2, 3 type things a person can do.
Well, first of all, you need to outline or list all of your debts.
Okay.
The way that I did it, according to the Dave Ramsey's method, was I list my debt from smallest to largest because I love instant gratification. But there's another method where you can actually list the highest interest rate debt, then the lowest interest rate, because some people want to knock out that high interest rate card first, especially if it's 20-something% or what have you. But I did it from the lowest to the largest because I knew that if I can see the debt reducing, it would give me an incentive, a great incentive to keep going.
Yes.
So what I did was I paid the minimum on all of my debts. The first debt that I was removing, I paid the minimum plus any additional monies that I had coming in. So my husband actually got a second job. He actually did something on the side, and all the monies that he had coming in from the second job, we did not include that into our household income.
Okay.
Or we didn't include that into our lifestyle. And so he actually put that money aside specifically for removing debt. Specifically. And so that extra money coupled with the minimum, we knocked that first debt out. Then what we did was we took the minimum from that debt plus the minimum on our second debt plus any extra money coming in from his job, and then consistently kept knocking the second one out. So then you just continue doing that until it's complete. And sometime it will take you year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, I've heard someone say it took them 5 years. And sometimes when you're doing your debt reduction, things will happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. Things are going to happen. Life is going to happen, and you're going to have this unexpected bill, or you're going to have to do, something else occurs, and you may have to stop what you're doing at that time. If it is a debt reduction program, stop, take care of the crisis, and then go back to that program.
That's critical that you say that.
Yes.
Because life will happen. Your car will break down.
It always does.
You could get sick. Something could happen to a family member or a loved one, and you have to take that trip to see your sick mother or what have you, and you put it on a credit card or whatever it is, you lose your job.
Yes.
So all of those things. So I appreciate, Tyranny, that you say you stop what you're doing. The plan is fantastic. You want to work the plan, but you have to stop, put the fire out first, then come back to it. So those are some very practical things. And I also appreciate when you said that as a person that likes instant gratification, many people do, it's good to check things off. Okay, that one's done. Wow, I did that one. Now let's tackle this next one. So I think that's important too.
And then build in rewards. So as we were doing the system, we had rewards built into the system where once we knocked off 2 bills, we did something great for each other. We went out to dinner. We went to the movies. I bought an outfit, something that was some type of reward that helped me to understand in my mind. Because remember, changing mindset. Sometimes you have to do things to change the way you think.
Right.
And so having those rewards built in helped me to understand this is a good thing.
Right.
I may be depriving myself right now, but one day I'm not going to have to do this. And I need to have my mind changed so that when I do stop or when I am completely finished removing all these debts, I don't go back into debt.
Right.
So therefore, that mindset, challenging your mindset as you're paying off your debts and saying, because when you're doing that, you're like, oh my gosh, this is not easy. And it just does something to you psychologically because, psychologically, money and psychology go hand in hand.
Oh, they do.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so that is important that you say that you reward yourself. You celebrate
You
that.
have to
because
build
if you
rewards
don't,
in,
then
yeah.
again, it's a constant barrage of take, sacrifice. I get nothing from this whole process.
Yeah.
So you talked about mindset and you talked about, which I found was interesting, people not wanting to go back in debt. But what happens sometimes when a person, they spend all that time, sweat, and tears getting out of debt, and they go right back into debt?
I think it has to do with, like I mentioned before, our mindset.
Okay.
And the fact that we have not just our mindset, but also discipline.
Okay, discipline.
Because sometimes it's mindsets with people, and then sometimes it's discipline. Sometimes people are they haven't trained themselves to, okay, if I remove all my debt, then I do not need to go back into this. But what happens is we don't train ourselves, and then we go out to the malls or we see something we like, and then we're back into that same spending habit because we haven't addressed the spending habit. We just covered the problem by getting out of debt. We didn't address the issue on why we keep getting into debt. And so addressing those issues, which I realized that I had triggers. And so, being raised in a single family home, there was a lot of lack. And my mother, she did the best she could, but we did struggle a lot. So when I grew up, I had this thing in me, Benita, where I didn't want to be in lack. Like I had a problem with that. And so every time my trigger was when I got happy, when something great happened, I wanted to spend.
Wow.
That was my trigger. And so with other people, their triggers may be when I get depressed, I want to spend. When I get angry, I want to spend. When I get lonely, I want to spend. Finding out what your trigger is and stopping it.
Wow.
Or finding out what the issue is of why you keep spending. It could be some childhood issue. And getting to the root of that issue, addressing that issue will help you in achieving more financial success. Because believe it or not, a lot of our issues that are deep-seated, rooted deep into our soul is actually affecting how we spend our money.
Oh, it does. You think about the single mother and the child that sees that mother struggling. And so he or she may say, when I grow up, I don't want to be like my mother. I want to be able to have all of these things. Or it could be a child that saw a person, parents in an abusive situation, and she couldn't get out because she didn't have any money.
Right.
And so all of those things that you're saying are very important, and we may not connect those with money.
Right.
Yes, we think it's something else.
We do, and one of the hard lessons that I had to learn because growing up with lack and I had started having my children, I was giving my children everything because I didn't want them to feel the way I felt when I didn't have as a child, or when I saw other children have things that I wanted and I knew that I couldn't get that. I didn't want my children to experience that. So what did I do? I bought them what they wanted when they wanted it, and now I have enabled them.
Yes.
Now they feel entitled. So now I got another monster on my hand. Because of the fact that I didn't address the issue that I was dealing with, which was, I believe it's a form of insecurity. It was a form of insecurity where I didn't want them to feel the way I felt. And instead of them allowing them to feel, you know, sometimes the effects of saying no.
Of saying no.
Yeah. Feel the single mother said earlier when she talked about, I think it was Veronica, when she talked about, you know, letting her children earn, you know, that's a big thing. Instead of giving them, letting them earn. I didn't do that the right way. So I had to then readdress that issue, because now I'm raising children who are growing into adults that may think that everything should be given to them.
Everything. So there's so many factors. And we want to hear from you. Our number, 757-823-9110. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hampton Roads Voices. Today, we have in studio Tyranny Parker, a financial educator and owner of Funding and Empire. And we're talking about women, money, and relationships. And we want to get to the aspect, Tyranny, and you and I were talking during the break about long-term care. Yes. And you say it's such a hot topic now. And with the advent of people living so much longer these days, this is such an important topic. So tell us what long-term care is and the aspects and ramifications of that, please.
Well, long-term care is a life-changing event that can occur. Well, shall I say, it addresses a life-changing event that can occur if it is a possibility that you will live longer.
Wow.
So if there's a possibility that you will live longer, you may need, say, for instance, someone to come into your home and help you with these 6 ADLs, which, you know, some of them are transferring, bathing, dressing, eating. You would need someone to help you. And a lot of people do not want to leave their homes now. And it's not always about nursing homes, like being a nursing home. It's actually about how can we keep, you know, our elderly people that we so love in the community and still help them. For instance, my grandmother lived well into her 80s, and she began to fall a lot. So she was falling, and, you know, just her legs would just give out. And so she did not want to leave her home at all, even though she had 5 girls that she could, any one of them she could went and live with. She did not want to leave her home.
Oh my goodness.
And so they decided to come up with a plan. What they did was they put their monies together. Some of them did. And hired someone to come into the home and help her.
Right.
And so they didn't realize that she was going to live longer, much longer. And so could you imagine the cost of that?
That had to be
every
tremendous.
year. Yes, bringing someone in to make sure that she was okay because she did not want to leave her home. So long-term care addresses those issues.
Absolutely. And when should a person start thinking about saving for long-term care and getting information about that?
Well, they should start thinking about talking to someone about long-term care in their 50s. I would say the earlier your 50s, the better, because long-term care is just like life insurance. You will have to go through underwriting. Mm-hmm. So the better your health is, the better your premiums will be, and your age. So the older you are, the more costly it will become. So that's why I say in your 50s, you need to start. Actually, to be honest with you, some people are actually starting in their 40s. I've seen people who actually have purchased a long-term care in their 40s, and there's different forms of long-term care, different ways that you can acquire that. But it's a very hot topic right now. Baby boomers, they're retiring and they're living their best life, but they don't want to think about, well, shoot, if something happens to me, do I want my loved ones coming in here, taking care of me? How is that going to hinder them emotionally, physically, and financially? Those are some of the things long-term care planning addresses.
Wow. And I that's fascinating to me, because sometimes we just assume as our elderly loved ones progress and get perhaps sick or have a health condition, we just assume that maybe they'll go to a nursing home or maybe they'll come and live with their children. But to say that they many of them want to stay in their homes, that's a different dynamic here.
It's a different way of thinking. You see it more and more now, because we love our children, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want my kids taking care of me. God, no. Love them to pieces.
Is the thinking in that, not just so much for you, is that we don't want to burden our children?
Absolutely not. I don't want that emotional and physical burden on them, let alone the financial burden. And I want to make sure that I have the monies in case someone has to come in and take care of me. And so it's a huge, like I said, a huge topic right now.
Wow, that's amazing. One last topic, our time is running out, and I want to talk very briefly about investing. Just some very basic things in terms, again, we had mentioned our 9-to-5 job. We talked about a side hustle. We talked about getting some extra income, and we talked about reducing debt. Where does the investment piece come in? I know I look online and I see a lot of investment clubs. I see investment clubs specifically for women. How does that factor in?
Well, investing can take various forms. So there are some people who they want to invest in the market, which is if you want to multiply your money, that is a great way to do it. But of course, there is great risk. So great reward, great risk. And then there are other avenues, other financial vehicles that you can invest in as well, depending on, how risk adverse you are, depending on your time horizon, your objectives. All of that come into play. But then there's also investing in real estate. Okay. So some people, they don't want to or they don't like the volatility of the market. So they rather go to investing in properties, in multiple properties, or they rather go to other things that are more conservative. So it doesn't matter what you decide to do. What matters the most is that you're multiplying your money. Okay. That you're increasing your assets, that you're becoming more conscious of the fact that just having money in the bank is not enough.
Right. Okay. And this generational wealth, the concept of generational wealth really does come along with as we teach our children and having something for as we grow our assets, knowing that that's something that could benefit our children in the long run.
Well, it's very important that if you're going to leave your children any type of assets, you first must teach them that they need to manage and multiply those assets well. A lot of us, say for instance, when we get an inheritance like life insurance, we, not all of us, but some of us tend to mismanage it. Yes. They tend to mismanage that house they was left. They tend to mismanage any other assets that was left. So I think it's a lack of knowledge in teaching our children, look, I'm going to leave you something, but I need you to get the knowledge and the wherewithal to understand I'm leaving you this to manage and multiply it. You can take a portion of it and live, but another portion of it, you need to make sure that it's growing.
Right. And I think that is important. So if a person says, I need to learn more about money, should they find a financial educator such as yourself? Should they take a class? where do they go to get the information that they need to learn how to manage money?
Well, I'm just going to say it. I think that going to a financial professional is very important. No matter where you are in your life, in your accumulation stage, or whether you're in a distribution stage, you should go and see a financial professional. But if you're very skittish about that, then reading books will help, financial books. Also, going to financial events. Like I have a Mind and Money Makeover that I do every month, and the next one is on Saturday, April the 13th at 12 noon. So going to things of that nature, getting the knowledge that you, just basic knowledge, and then expounding on that with talking to people who know more about finances, that will help.
And now, where is this going to be held, the event that you're having?
It's going to be at my firm. The address is 222 Central Park Avenue. And so they can give me a call. My number is 757-816-0253. That's 757-816-0253.
Very good. And at that particular event, they'll just be learning some basics, some of the things that we've talked about today.
Oh, we're going to go from one extreme to the other. We're going to talk about the mind first, because I can teach you how to manage and multiply your money. But if your mindset is not right, you're going to just squander it. So we address the issues with the mind and what we need to change, and address any issues that you may be dealing with or that you never dealt with. And, being brought up in your home as a child, what did you see? And then we go to the other extreme where, okay, now let's talk about practical things we can do to manage our money using a budget and then to multiply it.
I love it. I love it. Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts for our listeners in terms of money and some of the things that we've talked about?
Well, having control of your money is a great feeling. It is a wonderful feeling, and being able to have that financial freedom is something everyone should strive for. But I want you to understand that we have all made financial mistakes.
Yes.
So don't dwell on the past. Don't dwell on the past mistakes. Even if you're not where you want to be at this point, do not allow that to hinder you from being who you want to be in the future, or for accumulating and doing what you need to do with your money. If you need help, ask for it.
Yes.
Ask for the help. Seek the help. Seek financial professionals. Go read books, but don't just sit back and allow past mistakes to hinder your progress now.
Absolutely. So, Tyranny, how can they find you?
Well, you can go to my Facebook page, Funding an Empire, or you can go to fundingempire.com, my website, or you can reach me at 757-816-0253, or you can email me at fundinganempire@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. And that has been Tyranny Parker, financial educator and owner of Funding an Empire. And earlier we heard from Tawana Golson, speaker, author, and coach. It's been such a pleasure talking about this very important topic. And all month long, we've been talking about issues that affect women for Women's History Month. Today, women, money, and relationships. And join us every Friday. We are here from 5 to 7 p.m. If you need to contact me and you have any ideas or suggestions as to various topics, email me at bkadams@nsu.edu. That's bkadams@nsu.edu. Don't forget, you can find us online at Hot 91 Online. And that is Instagram, that is Facebook. And don't forget that we rebroadcast this show every Sunday. That's 12 to 2. Every Sunday you can hear this again. And then we put it on our YouTube channel so you can hear it over and over again. So again, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. We enjoy meeting here every Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. as we talk about issues that are important to you and your community, and we look at solutions. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB FM. Thank you for listening.